Hello, today we'll be going through practice questions 21 to 30 for the ISACA CISM exam. Let's begin. Over the last year, an information security manager has performed risk assessments on multiple third-party vendors. Which of the following criteria will be most helpful in determining the associated level of risk applied to each vendor? The correct answer is B. Criticality of the service to the organization. The criticality of the service, meaning how essential the vendor's service is to the organization's operations or handling of sensitive data, is the most important factor when determining the level of risk associated with each third-party vendor. Vendors supporting mission-critical functions or processing confidential data inherently pose higher risk and therefore require stronger oversight and controls. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Compliance requirements associated with the regulation. While regulatory compliance is important, it applies across vendors but doesn't directly measure how much impact a vendor's failure would have on the organization. C. Corresponding breaches associated with each vendor. Past breaches may inform due diligence but are historical indicators, not a reliable measure of the vendor's current or potential business impact. D. Compensating controls in place to protect information security. Compensating controls help mitigate identified risks but are considered after determining the inherent risk level, which is based on the vendor's service criticality. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Which of the following is the most important security consideration when developing an incident response strategy with a cloud provider? The correct answer is D. Escalation processes. When developing an incident response strategy with a cloud provider, the most important consideration is to define clear escalation processes. This ensures both the organization and the provider know who is responsible, how incidents are reported, and how communication and response coordination will occur during a security event. Without well-defined escalation procedures, delays or confusion can severely impact response effectiveness. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Security audit reports. Audit reports assess the provider's controls but do not define how incidents will be managed or escalated during an active event. B. RTO. RTO focuses on business continuity and recovery timelines, not on the communication and coordination needed during incident handling. C. Technological capabilities. Technical capabilities are important but secondary. Without an agreed upon escalation and communication plan, even strong technical measures may fail to ensure a timely and effective response. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Executive leadership has decided to engage a consulting firm to develop and implement a comprehensive security framework for the organization to allow senior management to remain focused on business priorities. Which of the following poses the greatest challenge to the successful implementation of the new security governance framework? The correct answer is B. Executive leadership views information security governance primarily as a concern of the information security management team. The greatest challenge arises when executive leadership distances itself from information security governance, assuming it is solely the responsibility of the security team. Effective security governance requires active involvement and oversight from senior management, as it directly ties to business objectives, risk appetite, and strategic direction. Without leadership engagement, the framework will lack authority, funding, and alignment with business goals, leading to weak implementation. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Executive leadership becomes involved in decisions about information security governance. This is actually a positive action. Leadership involvement strengthens governance and ensures alignment with organizational strategy. C. Information security staff has little or no experience with the practice of information security governance. While this could pose challenges, it can be mitigated by the consulting firm's expertise and training. It's not as critical as lack of leadership ownership. D. Information security management does not fully accept the responsibility for information security governance. This is an issue, but governance responsibility primarily rests with executive leadership, not just information security management. The larger problem is leadership's disengagement. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Risk scenarios simplify the risk assessment process by... The correct answer is D. Focusing on important and relevant risk. Risk scenarios simplify the risk assessment process by helping organizations focus on the most important and relevant risks rather than trying to analyze every possible event. They provide structured, realistic examples of how threats might impact business objectives, making it easier to evaluate likelihood, impact, and controls in a manageable way. Why do the options are incorrect? A. Covering the full range of possible risk. Risk scenarios do not cover every possible risk. They intentionally focus on key risks that matter most to the organization. B. Ensuring business risk is mitigated. Risk scenarios help identify and understand risks, but do not guarantee mitigation. That comes later through control implementation. C. Reducing the need for subsequent risk evaluation. Risk scenarios actually support ongoing evaluation. They do not eliminate the need for periodic reassessment or validation. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which of the following is the most important consideration when developing information security objectives? The correct answer is C. They are clear and can be understood by stakeholders. When developing information security objectives, the most important consideration is that they are clear, measurable, and easily understood by stakeholders. If objectives are not clearly communicated, stakeholders cannot align their actions, allocate resources effectively, or evaluate progress toward achieving those goals. Clarity ensures that the entire organization works cohesively toward the same security outcomes. Why the other options are incorrect? A. They are regularly reassessed and reported to stakeholders. Reassessment is important for maintaining relevance, but it happens after objectives are established, not during their initial development. B. They are approved by the IT governance function. Approval provides oversight but does not guarantee that objectives are understandable or actionable, which is crucial for effective implementation. D. They are identified using global security frameworks and standards. Frameworks help guide objective creation, but the primary goal is to ensure the objectives are clear and meaningful to the organization and its stakeholders. Therefore, the correct answer is C. A legacy application does not comply with new regulatory requirements to encrypt sensitive data at rest, and remediating this issue would require significant investment. What should the information security manager do first? The correct answer is C. Investigate alternative options to remediate the non-compliance. When developing information security objectives, the most important consideration is that they are clear, measurable, and easily understood by stakeholders. If objectives are not clearly communicated, stakeholders cannot align their actions, allocate resources effectively, or evaluate progress toward achieving those goals. Clarity ensures that the entire organization works cohesively toward the same security outcomes. Why the other options are incorrect? A. They are regularly reassessed and reported to stakeholders. Reassessment is important for maintaining relevance, but it happens after objectives are established, not during their initial development. B. They are approved by the IT governance function. Approval provides oversight but does not guarantee that objectives are understandable or actionable, which is crucial for effective implementation. D. They are identified using global security frameworks and standards. Frameworks help guide objective creation, but the primary goal is to ensure the objectives are clear and meaningful to the organization and the stakeholders. Therefore, the correct answer is C. Which of the following best enables effective information security governance? The correct answer is A. Security-aware corporate culture. A security-aware corporate culture is the foundation of effective information security governance. Governance relies on people at all levels understanding, supporting, and acting in accordance with security policies and objectives. When employees and management alike value security as part of everyday business practices, it ensures consistent compliance, accountability, and informed decision-making, far beyond what tools or metrics alone can achieve. Why the other options are incorrect? B. Advanced security technologies. Technology supports security operations but does not ensure governance, which depends on leadership, culture, and decision alignment. C. Periodic vulnerability assessments. These help identify weaknesses but are operational controls, not governance mechanisms. D. Established information security metrics. Metrics help measure governance effectiveness but cannot enable it on their own. They depend on a culture that values and acts on those insights. Therefore, the correct answer is A. Application data integrity risk is most directly addressed by a design that includes The correct answer is B. Reconciliation routines such as checksums, hash totals, and record counts. Application data integrity ensures that data remains accurate, complete, and unaltered during processing or transmission. The most direct way to achieve this is through reconciliation routines, such as checksums, hash totals, and record counts, which verify that data has not been lost, corrupted, or modified unintentionally between processes or systems. These mechanisms directly detect integrity breaches at the data level. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Strict application of an authorized data dictionary. A data dictionary promotes consistency in data definitions and structure, but does not verify data integrity during processing or transfer. C. Application log requirements such as field-level audit trails and user activity logs. Audit trails support accountability and traceability, not real-time integrity validation. D. Access control technologies such as role-based entitlements. Access controls protect data from unauthorized access or modification, but they do not detect or correct integrity errors once data has been altered or corrupted. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Deciding the level of protection a particular asset should be given is best determined by. The correct answer is B. A risk analysis. The level of protection an asset requires is best determined through a risk analysis, which evaluates the likelihood and impact of potential threats exploiting vulnerabilities. This process quantifies or qualifies the risk level to each asset, helping determine what level of protection is justified and cost-effective. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The corporate risk appetite. Risk appetite defines how much risk the organization is willing to accept overall. It guides decision-making but does not assess individual asset risk. C. A threat assessment. A threat assessment identifies potential sources of harm but does not evaluate their impact or likelihood, which are needed to determine protection levels. D. A vulnerability assessment. A vulnerability assessment identifies weaknesses but does not consider threats or impacts, so it cannot determine the appropriate level of protection on its own. Therefore, the correct answer is B. What should be an information security manager's first step when developing a business case for a new idea solution? The correct answer is B. Define the issues to be addressed. When developing a business case for a new IDS, the first step is to clearly define the issues or problems that the proposed solution is meant to address. This ensures that the project has a clear purpose and aligns with organizational objectives. The security manager needs to articulate what risks or gaps exist. For example, lack of network visibility, delayed detection of intrusions, or compliance requirements, before justifying any cost or technical solution. Only after identifying and defining the problem can the manager proceed to subsequent steps like evaluating feasibility, calculating costs, or performing cost-benefit analysis. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Calculate the TCO. TCO calculation is a later step that helps quantify ongoing expenses, but it's only meaningful after determining what issues the IDS will solve and what type of system is needed. C. Perform a cost-benefit analysis. This is also done after defining the issues and possible solutions. You can't evaluate benefits or costs before knowing what the problem is or what system will address it. D. Conduct a feasibility study. Feasibility studies come after defining the problem to assess whether the proposed IDS can practically meet the organization's needs and constraints. Therefore, the correct answer is B. We have come to the end of today's video. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.